Well, thank you. I'm being offered help by NW, Nathaniel Worley Steele, um, but that's really good. I think it's kind of working. I haven't messed it up. Hello, Deb, and JJ and Sam. Thank you for joining me. It's midnight here, and I've just been at a very long, not really long. We didn't even get there till 7 o'clock, so we're there probably 4 hours. And birthday party out in the bush on a block. They had a great big bonfire, and you know, quite a few people and dogs, loads of food. It was really, really good. We had a really long drive. It was a 30-minute drive, but it took us about 50 minutes because we went really slow because we didn't want to hit any kangaroos because they're all over that bush road. You just see these corpses, and it was like, yeah. So we'll just drive 60 k's. What's that? 40 miles instead of 80 to 100, so 50 or 60 miles an hour, and took us a lot longer to get back. And I got here just in time to find out my phone was flat, and I needed my phone for the internet connection to work on my what's this thing called? iPad. Now, hello Dan, thanks for joining us. Who else have we got here? My face is going to pop down every time I have to look at a question, and that's going to be really annoying, but oh well, there's really nothing I can do about that. Yeah, well, these are our deers, Deb. You know, there's a few wombats, which is really sad too, these poor little things. But there's a lot of kangaroos just dead on the side. They kind of hop out, and people speed really fast here, so we're way out in the bush, like, it's their home really, and if you drive too fast, you can't see, like, you can't brake quickly enough. But if you're probably going at about 40 miles, then you've got enough time to brake if they run out. Oh, hello, I don't know, Nate, Nathaniel, NW, Nathaniel W. Worley Steele. You've got so many names, and you can elect one, and I will honor that. Yeah. Well, thank you, Deb. My system is do what I can to squint and cope, but you know, look, it's at least well lit here. It's this gorgeous kind of country. Uh, it's kind of a lovely country manor, like a little bed and breakfast with about, I don't know, 8 rooms or something here. And you know, this man in his 70s runs it, and it's just this lovely old homestead in a little historic town, and it's been beautifully restored, and you know, it's all really nice here. There's multiple sitting rooms, and you know, we've got our own rooms and balconies and all that sort of thing. It's beautiful. So it's home away from home. It's quite lovely here. Your nan's place. Well, no, he's collected a whole lot of art and wall hangings. He's kind of got antique furniture and stuff like that. I don't think I really did it justice with my little spin around, but you know, it's fine. It's really nicely furnished here, and it's always, like, we've stayed here one weekend before. It's really lovely as well. So it's worth driving 50 something kilometers to get to from where the party was, which was, what's 50 something kilometers? It's 30 miles. 30 miles we drove to get here from the party. Here Deb, we're inland, so it's kind of plains, inland, 4 hours drive from Sydney, so it's very cold. It was drier though. They have had rain in it, but we had a lot of rain in Sydney. It was dry. It was just really misty and foggy and all that sort of thing. There was a massive bonfire there. It was really kept everybody warm, so it wasn't so bad. Oh, did the connection drop out? It told me it dropped out, but it seems to be all right now. Your nan's place. Well, you've got a nan with money then, because my nan lived in a very modest little old fibro cottage, and you know, baked things like almond cookies and got sweet corn out of a can, and no, it was nothing like this. We didn't. Oh dear. And what's a nice jelly? Isn't that what Beyonce calls an arse? Sorry, a bottom. We're on Facebook. We can't say those words, can we? Well, I can't. Other people can say what they like normally. I've seen some very colourful, fruity swearing everywhere, but no. Oh God, no. Yeah, we know you're posh, JJ. You're piss elegant. You are like Patsy Stone personified. Do I have tattoos? Yes. You've seen them. I've got Beethoven on this forearm, and then a picture of my old staffy who died. Well, a representation who of the staffy, and I've got a Celtic owl on this arm here, and then on my stomach there I've got like a charging bull. So, you know, I'd like more, but I got them all done in Tasmania, and I hardly ever go to Tasmania. Oh, one of them I got done in Sydney, but the good ones that I like were done in Tasmania. Look, 96, now that's 36 degrees Celsius. Yes, so that's hot and foul. If it's humid, it's really yuck. So you guys need to go swimming or sit in the air conditioning and not hang around outside and get sunstroke, because that's pretty awful. Shag, marry, kiss, Angus, Patrick, Jeff. No, gee, wouldn't it be nice to marry any of them? That would be good, but yeah, all three, for all three of them. Well, yeah, maybe Jeff would be a little bit flighty. I think. Anyway. Comfort food. Oh, have I missed any? Choose, if you could choose celebrity partners, who would I choose? Oh, who would I choose? God, I don't know. I tell you what though, I do think that model that I got for the new book, and this is not me talking about the new book, this is that model, is really gorgeous. There's so many photos of him, fuller length ones too, and like he's really handsome, but he's also like a cuddly bear. It's not like you look down lower and he's just some standard steroid gym guy. Like, he's really kind of cuddly and hot and gorgeous, and he's not really a celebrity, he's just a stock model, but oh well. You know, the celebrities, I mean, God, you will see all the bloody pictures that I put online, all the celebrities that I'll watch on TV or whatever, they're not even famous. It's like there'll be some British police drama or murder mystery or whatever, and some woman my age or whatever will have this husband who'll be a guy playing the husband who's like the cutest, lovely bear of a man. It's like, now he's gorgeous, but you know, they're not even famous enough to have a Wikipedia page. You know, maybe they're on EastEnders or something or whatever, but they've got like a smaller role on this. So yeah, they're not big stars or anything like that, but they're yeah, I guess they're still kind of celebrities. What is my favourite comfort food? Lots. Like, food is comfort, isn't it, really? I spent 12 years being like Gary, being a vegetarian, but then my flatmate was a vegan for a lot of that, so it was very easy for me to stick to. And then I was like, oh, I need to be thin, so I did Atkins dieting, and of course Atkins dieting is all meat, 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 meat. And then once I was sick of that, I just went back to a normal diet, and now I'm kind of stuff at anything goes. So comfort food, like just I'm terrible, like takeaways, bloody fried chicken, burgers, all of that sort of thing. I'm so, we call them bogans in Australia, as in they're not like rednecks in America are like country folk, aren't they? Mountain folk. Bogans could be urban here. They're just kind of not very sophisticated. Yeah, that's my taste in food. just whatever junky takeaway food you can get. I don't have expensive tastes like that. What else? Oh yes, blah blah. I'm just going back up because I think that was oh yes, comfort food, yum. So chips, oh god, chips fries, they're awesome. Fried chicken, burgers, all that stuff. Will Ben get his own full-length book? Look, I want to write more about those guys. I haven't thought of a premise yet, but that story started off as 5,000 words, and I rewrote it with an extra couple thousand, and Rick came into it, like I changed the character originally. It was written for this call for submission for an erotica publisher called Rachel Kramer Bissell, and she's in New York, and she had this call for submissions that the story had to be at maximum 5,000 words, and she had so many criteria, and it's after midnight, I can't think of the words, stipulations, you know what I mean, things that you have to do to write it her way, masses of them, like just paragraph after paragraph. So it was all written for that call for submission, and she wanted interracial, she wanted gender diversity, she wanted disability, she wanted a story that goes well beyond because it was an erotica story, but it couldn't just end there, it had to go well beyond it. And so I had this whole epilogue and all that. There was a character that was trans, and it was quite probably the smallest out of the four characters, because I was like, I don't know how to write a trans character because I don't know enough about their sex lives. So of course, first thing I did when she said, I like your story, and I put it in the queue, but it didn't make the final cut. So I was like, okay, stuck it away, wrote Hound, or finished that in The Lookout, and then came back to it. It was like, right, trans character goes, and I stuck in Rick, the dominant daddy, and made it longer that way. And then when I picked it up again after writing Vera Fair, I added another 10,000 words to it and really expanded on the blindness aspect, and put in extra scenes to develop the relationship between Ben and Tony, just so that by the end of it we really do believe that something significant is going to happen with those two, and it's not just a weekend fling, it is going somewhere. And for the other two, Rick and Damo as well, although it's seen through Ben's eyes, so he can see there's a very intense physical connection between those other guys, but he doesn't know anything emotional, because by the end of the story he hasn't had a chance to talk about it to his friends. So for people who haven't read it, it's literally about four guys, two pairs of friends that meet at a gay wedding up the coast in New South Wales, and they have this explosive four-way fun, but there's a huge connection between the main guy who's become recently legally blind and this other guy, and it kind of snowballs from there. They just really are instantly smitten with each other, and there's a lot of turmoil because the main guy is really hoping that he'll see this other one again, but they're both a little bit nervous about making that step. And I think a lot of the lead guy's lack of confidence there is that he has lost his sight. He has become disconnected from a lot of his previous life. So for the last 6 months or whatever, he's become more reclusive because of it. And this is him breaking out of that. So yeah, it was a lot to fit into 17,000 words, especially with all the choreography, with 4 people in one huge bed, making sure that every move was right, and everything was seen through the lead guy Ben's eyes was plausible. It's his observation, and we know that with his limited sight, he's able to observe it. Anyway, this is really long and rambling, but there's a lot there that could be expanded on with those guys. So yeah, I would like to do it. I haven't really thought of a great idea yet plot-wise, but these things do pop up, and that's a very good question, Dan. Thank you. And let me, I do love Angus. Oh yes, Angus. Angus is like the nicest, most caring character that, you just love to be with. Like, he's so nurturing, so caring, emotionally sensitive to other people's needs, and an absolute firecracker in bed, and somebody that you want to boink in a very dirty way, but also at the same time you want to protect them, you want to wrap your arms around them and make sure that they're happy. And that's the way I wanted to write him, so that he had those 2 sides to him, and it doesn't waver. Like, he's genuinely like that. It doesn't deviate. And the flip side for him is he's very easily hurt, but I didn't want to make him kind of sulky or anything, though, and luckily managed to avoid that, because I kind of find those sulky characters very annoying. Oh, yeah, no, thank you, Deb. The cover model's beautiful, but he's got to be 20 years younger than me. So yeah, I think I need a little bit of Botox here and there, and actually no, I can't have an eye lift. All those men that have eye lifts then start looking like old drag queens. It just doesn't work. So I'm just gonna have to, grow out of my 40s and into my 50s gracefully. But yeah, no, yes, that model's beautiful, and he's probably about 30. He's got a couple of little wrinkles here. Maybe he's in his early 30s. I want to use a different photo of him because he's actually got quite long hair. It's just very highly buzz cut at the sides. And I want to use photos of him with it down in my next book, because there's some great pictures of him. And the character in my next book is a builder, and that guy I chose for the next book because I've already been hassling Nadia about doing the new cover for that book, and she's really designed a really good one. But when I found his photo shoot on the stock site, there was a whole lot of them in there, and then I found that topless one with his lovely little nipple there, and his armpit and all that, and all his tattoos, and I thought that is just too good to pass up. And even though I don't think he represents any of the characters in this particular book, his image and the whole mood of that photo really encompasses, you know, the sort of the lustful themes of the whole One Night Stand book. Let me see for what book is your favourite out of your books? Look, like I really love them all. I think Hound for me that was like the main achievement, because it's the longest book. It's the first one I wrote, although it's the second one that I finished. So I wrote Lookout in the middle of it, and then I rewrote parts of Hound after that. So it was untested. I wrote over 200,000 words, and it was many months of work, of rewriting and cutting and overwriting and draft after draft sort of thing. And it ended up being just what I wanted. So that's probably the most special place in my heart, sort of thing. But having said that, like I'm pleased with how the others have turned out, and that they've been received. And I think until recently, Hound was really well received. Like there was only one sort of lukewarm review, but there's been a couple of not reviews but low ratings on it, and so obviously there are a section of readers that are attracted to something in it and very not happy when they actually do read the book. And I don't know why, because there's nothing written in the review, but you know, I just think, oh well, like I'm immensely proud of it, and I wouldn't change it. So that's unfortunately it's not going to be to everyone's taste, but for me it's like this significant emotional journey between these guys, and there are people that it annoys them that these guys aren't perfect and they do things that are hurtful to the other guys and that. But what I say to that is it's real life, and that's what I'm aiming for. I don't want it to be wrapped in a neat package. I want their emotions to be as real as possible, and their previous traumas, and they make mistakes as well, and they're constantly learning, just kind of like all of us are. Look here. It's all about the meat. Now, so Nathaniel, like, are we talking about between the legs meat, or are we talking about diet here? Or are we talking about both? I mean, oh, sorry, this is my eyesight. I'm all about the meat. Yeah, me too. And I'm not just talking about food. Yes. JJ Rose, I'm all about vegetables. What kind of shaped vegetables are we talking about, JJ? Oh yeah, fast food, yeah. So fast food, I eat too much fast food. Well, I don't really, because I don't drive, so someone has to give me a lift or whatever. And you don't really, here, I think you can get fast food delivered, but you don't really tend to. It's, I guess, pizza, but you know, the delivery here is all like Thai and your Asian food and that sort of thing. So it's, you'd order your Chinese or your Thai. Chinese here is not anywhere near as popular as Thai in Sydney. There's a lot of Thai places, and we've kind of got to go into the suburbs to get to Chinese takeaways, or into Chinatown sort of areas. But there's Thai everywhere, and there's quite a bit of Vietnamese as well, which is more popular in Australia, I think. But it's those sort of more international cuisines that you would get delivered. You know, it's more recently. Yeah, you could go to, I don't know, Uber Eats, Menulog, all of that. You could probably order whatever you want, and a lot of the fast food places do that now. But there was never a culture of ordering fast food to your home. It's always something you went out to get. It's delicious but not healthy. Yeah, I know, but you know what? Screw that. Have some vegetables. Let's not be guilty, you know. We go, why do we all have to be skinny? You know? I like my boys with a bit of meat on them. Have I ever cried while right? Oh, God. see my eyes? My eyes are really terrible. Like, they're all red. And that is because I have glaucoma drops, and they make your eyes red, and they make them water. So when I write really emotional scenes and I'm sitting there like, you know, because they really do screw with my head. If anyone walks in, it's like, oh yeah, his eyes always look like that. So it's a very good pretext. I can kind of get away with it. And yeah, no, because I'm writing about emotional stuff that I can really relate to and may have happened in my life one way or another. I mean, I've obviously stylized, as in not stylized it. I've intensified it or whatever, and massaged it to fit the plot. But there are a lot of things I can relate to, and they are quite upsetting. You know, like I read over bits and even think about bits I wrote and just feel really upset about it. But you know, that to me is the kind of impact that I like books to have. Some people don't. They like just to be pleased and they like to escape. For me, escaping, I guess, is a different kind of thing. Who has been the most challenging character for you to write and why? Well, Dan, Jeff, because I felt he was kind of maligned, and I can see why some people thought he was a narcissist, and I don't think he was a narcissist. I think he slipped into some narcissistic behaviours based on his past abuse, and he really wasn't aware of the effect, or he wouldn't allow himself to be aware of the effect it was having on other people, especially Gary. So he's a hard character to write because I didn't get to explore him in first person because I don't really want to do dual point of view novels. I get the tension out of the fact that the person reading it does not know what is happening in the other guy's head any more than the lead guy does. And when you use dual point of view, you're giving the reader the answers. And yeah, that's a different way of doing it, of course, and a lot of people do that. But it's like, if I go, you know, oh, Gary says this instead of, but then Jeff, he gives his point of view, it's like, well, where's the wonder in that? We don't know what goes on in our partner's head. We don't. Unless they tell us and they're completely honest. But people keep secrets from each other. They don't show each other 100% of themselves. You always keep a little part of yourself for yourself, even if you really, really love someone else. And we temper our thoughts and, our interactions without even knowing. We modify things we say to people, or we magnify them. We say things much worse than they are to hurt somebody, or we don't want to hurt them, so we kind of, you know, basically modify it, just pull it back a little bit, you know, and try and put it in a really nice diplomatic way. So we're never 100% truthful about anything like that, and when you're writing from one person's point of view and it's an intense relationship, a lot of that tension comes from wondering exactly what's going on in this person's head and trying to communicate or working out how to communicate. This is a really long-winded answer. So that in that way, Jeff was a difficult character. Gary and Ben and all that, for me, they had similarities with my personality. So that was a matter of me being really truthful with myself, but I didn't find that as difficult. If we're talking about a group of characters, first place, Blinder, bloody hard to write that. Over and over and over. It was so hard to get it right with all those four guys. Second place was the foursome day in Hound. That took a huge amount to get right as well. Once again, you've got four men in a romp, and there are different dynamics between each one. There was less interaction between the four in Hound, which means it was kind of a little bit more delineated, whereas it was kind of very entwined in Blinder. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to write a group sex scene, you know what? allow yourself the fact that you've got 4 people instead of 2, let's say 4, it is going to be not just double as hard, like 4 times as hard, because there are that many more combinations of things to go wrong, and you're telling it from somebody's, whether you're writing first person or third person, someone is holding the camera. So whether it's I'm saying I'm here and I'm doing this with all you 3 and I'm observing you, or whether I'm writing a character about Colin. Colin is here and Colin is doing this. Colin still holds the camera, so you've still got one person's perspective in it, unless you write another chapter or section and you give the perspective to someone else. Because you don't want to be one of those authors that's writing third person and it constantly is moving perspective from one to the other, but without actually doing it deliberately. It's like you'll think, I'm sorry, how does he know what's going on over there? He's not holding the camera here. He doesn't know what that other person's thinking. You do actually have to hand perspective over to another character, even with third person. Once again, I can't remember what I was talking about. Sorry, guys. Who has been challenging? Did I answer that, Dan? I think I did. Yeah, in a very long way. What time of day is good for you to write? Yeah, well, this year, because I'm talking to all you lovely, wonderful, awesome people in the States and UK, I'm up really, really late. So I will not go to sleep before 3, and I'll be up at like 9 or 10, if I'm lucky. Sometimes it's only 5 hours of sleep. Look, this is why I've got this. This is me not getting sleep. I used to have perfect eyes, before this. Well, I didn't. I'm lying. So yeah, I've noticed there are peaceful times. There is a peaceful time in the late morning when my flatmate goes to work. My boyfriend usually works really late, and either he goes to work really, really early and at like 7 a.m. or whatever if he's working on a film, or quite often works really, really late, so he'll be asleep. So he's either not there or he's asleep, so I'm quiet. And I've got my 2 skinny, scrawny little bloody dogs, and it is winter now, so it's bloody freezing, and my trick is to turn the heater on in the lounge room and go somewhere else and take their coats off, so they will not leave the heater and come and bother me while I'm trying to write. So that's a good period of time, so late morning. By the time you guys in the UK are getting up, there's usually people that I need to talk to and all that sort of thing, and you might be getting up at 7, and that's mid-afternoon for us here. And pretty much from then on, I'll be, on and off social media, answering emails, all of that sort of thing. And then my other writing period might be very late at night when people have gone to bed. So it's the extremes of the day that are good, the late morning and then the late night. Have I written all my life? No. In the 90s, because I'd done a degree in arts, so my majors were music and literature, language literature. And then I did another degree in music and honours and all that. So I did 2 honours degrees, but I didn't really do anything with them. I mean, writing-wise. That was because you had to have a different major. I can just only do an arts degree in music. I had to have other majors. That's the way it was set up. But in the mid-90s, I realised there were these indie gay magazines coming around, and they had sort of erotica in it. It was quite good, but I thought, no, I could do better than that. And I wrote a few, and they were, you don't get paid or anything, because these are just kind of indie magazines and that. But it was like, oh wow, look, my story's in the magazine. It's awesome. And after a couple of them, but then I just didn't write anymore. You get busy doing normal jobs, and I was opera singing, and I started working in sort of medical side of things, and I did nursing and community work and that, and slotted in the singing around it. And when I stumbled onto that this adult site, you probably, if you've seen the podcast I did, I talked about Lush Stories, and I had to Google some guy for something, I can't remember, but a man with a very similar name came up, and it said Stories on Lush Story, and it had, and I was like, what's this? And I clicked on it, and it was this man that wrote filthy gay stories. Like, honestly, that he is so kinky. And I thought, are they all like that? And I looked at more, and the others were more erotica. This guy was a bit more extreme. And I read every single gay story on there. There's a lot of straight and bi as well. It's all kind of very sexually fluid on that site, but it's amateur stories. And I thought, you know, many years ago I did a little bit of this, you know, back in the print era. So I thought, oh, I might just potter around with it, you know. But I started off with a silly little fanfic one, because it was a story that a guy wrote, and it was really, really good. But he ended it in a really crap way. And I'm like, no, I don't like your ending, I'm rewriting it. So I did this whole fanfic thing where I rewrote his story. I'm like, yeah, my ending's much better. And then I thought, no, sorry, this is too good to waste on you. So I'm not even going to send it to you as a fanfic piece. I completely rewrote it, and it was the ending of Hound, and I created the book from there, so that it had the ending of this, that I wanted this guy's story to have, became the ending of Hound, and I rewrote new characters and a new story that, you know, without sort of plot spoilers and all that. So it does. He was kind of wrote this whole thing, and then just, it was a really, really great story, but he kind of petered it out to say, oh, well, we're fuck buddies and he's moving away. And I'm like, well, I don't like that. I don't like you just going, he's moving away. You built this beautiful connection between them, and I know it was just sex, but I don't agree with it. Great story, though. Loved his story. But it's kind of like, oh, I'm bored with this now. I'm going to write some other crap, and I'm going to just, you know, to kill him off. You know, this Deus Ex Machina. I don't know what to do with this character. Oh, let's have him move to fucking New York. Oh, sorry, I said the F word on Facebook. And yeah, anyway, this is really long-winded again. Anyway, so that, yeah, what was I saying? Written all my life. So yes, no, that was in 2019, late 2019, and I wrote Hound sitting on my little phone when I had slightly better eyesight, tapping away when I was supposed to be working or on my lunch break or whatever, and I got this whole draft written, and then I just did it more and more and more, and that's December 2019, and I didn't finally submit it to a publisher till October 2021, after I had already, you know, written and submitted and had the lookout accepted. So it's a recent thing. I'm doing it in my dotage. Rick was so sweet, surprisingly. Oh, yes, thank you, Deb. I really wanted that. I could have made Rick just a straight Dom Daddy, one-dimensional, but I wanted to show that he had other sides to his personality. Ben was obviously not going to be interested in being dominated. It wasn't the person he was. So Rick does pair off with Damo into their Dom sub, dirty sex, having fun, pairing up. But Ben is quite surprised to find that Rick has this, you know, softer side, and I think he sees that's how Ben is, and he feels comfortable relating to him in that way, because, you know, people do have different facets to their personality, and even with a supporting character like that, I do like to show that there is more to them, and so yeah, I really felt that gave Rick more appeal, to show that he had that capacity, rather than just being the kind of comic relief in all the spanking and humiliation and you know, calling the other guy names and all that stuff, and being a bossy bastard as well. Am I allowed to say bastard on Facebook? No. Oh, hello Anna, hello. This is wonderful Anna, who advised me when I was in my draft stage of this book, the last novelette in it, because I had the psychoanalyst there, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do the profession injustice. So we go, Anna, help me, help me, help me. And I shot her questions. She answered them in the most beautiful way. And I went back and I rewrote things, and I really, really, it's like, I have to do it right by her. I can't, screw this up. So, yes, thank you so much, Anna. And I love Ben and Tony. Oh, God, Ben and Tony, aren't they so cute? Honestly, I found the guys on the video. I've only played it in... Have I even played it anywhere? Casey made it for me, I think I put it on one promo, but I've got to put them on TikTok. But I'm completely clueless with TikTok. I have to work it out. But I found 4 guys that really represented how I saw the characters pretty closely. I mean, I didn't have a lot of choice, but they did look, to me, their characterization and their physical appearance in these 4 short videos looked a lot like the characters. So I made that 30-second sort of promo clip for it. And yeah, Ben and Tony are gorgeous. Oh, thank you. Oh, swooning, love, oh, thank you. Would you like to see one of your books to be made into a movie? Yes, but I would need to get porn stars, because the sex is so central and so detailed. You can't really do the fade to grey camera angle thing and all that. I mean, maybe you could with a really clever filmmaker, but it'd be pretty sort of explicit. I think it would cross the line from, I don't know what you call it in America, NC-17 and X. Well, ours is called R to X. Your R is our MA. So you see an R movie there, it's not, oh, you've got to be over 18. An R movie here is, oh, you've got to be over 18. And then you try to get your film, even if it's really explicit and it's very arty, you try and get it not to be X, you try and get it to be R. You fight the censors. I don't know how all the boinking in those books would translate to film, and to remove it would diminish the story, because the guys do have very physical relationships, and that's how they build their closeness. And it, I guess, does get very emotional and that sort of thing as well. But it kind of be like trying to make a movie of a musical and going, let's chuck the songs out. I don't think that would really work. Like, oh, let's do Dear Evan Hansen, but not have any songs in it. Yeah, no. I love Colin's accent. Oh, that's very nice of you. Yeah, well, I'm very glad you do. It's funny. It was like someone was saying to me, "Oh, who's those gals talking on the phone?" I said, "Oh, that's Sam and JJ," and they were like, "Oh, it sounds like EastEnders." I was like, and I said, when they put the kids on the phone and say something, Colin. It's like, what do Australians sound like? Home and away. It's like, yeah, well, these girls sound like EastEnders to us. This is who's your fave? Who's my fave? Sorry, Sam, you said, who's your fave? I've lost the character. Gary. Yeah, there's a lot of me that went into that. Yeah, definitely. But I can't be 6'4". I'm just this boring average. I used to be 5'10", and I lost half an inch as I got older, which is really, really annoying. I'm not 6'4", a great big red-headed thing. I used to have a red beard, but you can see that there's grey in it now. All the red bits went grey. Where are you? Did you pay for your male models? Oh, this makes it sound like I'm hiring escorts. No. I've approached a few Instagram and Twitter models and all that, and one of them's agreed to be on a book, but I don't know what he wants to charge. And some of them are like, well, men pay me lots of money to J.O. on camera and have intimate relations with other men on camera. And I'm sure they're going to come back and go, yeah, I want thousands. I'll be like, yeah, get lost. So with the models, no, you trawl stock photo sites and you pay the photo site. Usually it's like Netflix. You have a membership for it and you get a certain amount of photos for it. At the moment, Nadia's been doing it for me. She's like, oh, I've got lots of photos, don't worry. And it's like, no, I'm going to buy your next, cachet of photos because you buy them in big clumps, because I can't keep using hers. But yeah, you basically buy it from a thing. So you might, if you look at closely at a lot of romance novels and that, you go, I've seen that guy somewhere. And Casey Carmine showed me a photo of this new, one of the Nicole someone's new book, and she goes, you recognise this photo? And it's like, yeah, it's the same photo that she's got on her book, but they've manipulated him to look all blue and different colours and that. So you don't get exclusive use of the photo. It could turn up anywhere. So the idea is you try and manipulate it a bit to get some individuality. Is there one particular scene that was the hardest to write? Oh yeah, we cover that. Blinder, the big foursome in Blinder, very hard to write. Followed by the foursome in, and then with a non-sex scene, the last scene in Hound, before the epilogue, the last scene there, I wrote that dozens of times over. Really, just the whole outpouring. It was so emotionally intricate, and there was a million directions I could have gone and a million things that the characters could have said, and I really, really had to do it a zillion times and go back and forth and rewrite it so much till I got it how I wanted. And I only got it how I wanted just before I sent it off. There were so many zillions of changes there. And then I'll even read it now and I'll be happy with it. But the amount of times I changed my mind, and that was insane. Who's your favourite character? Oh, we did that, didn't we? The Lookout killed me, but it was refreshing to read something so visceral and real. Oh, Nathaniel, you're so lovely. You're so lovely. God, Mark is so lucky. I wanted it to be real, and that's upset some people. There's been, say, 2 reviews where they're like, I felt Patrick was mistreated, and I'm really upset about that. It's like, for me, that was the point. 3 people don't magically all fall in love at the same rate. I don't say 3 people can't fall in love. Of course they can. But there will be a different connection between one and the other. It might take longer. You might love them in slightly different ways, that you would have different issues with them. And maybe 2 of you are more compatible, but you still love the 3rd one. And this was what happened in The Lookout, as in 2 of them, just instantly, that it was just this massive connection. But they really did love this other guy, but it was slower to develop, and they were not in a position, didn't feel they were in a position to say, to talk about it with him and say that, we're in love with you or whatever, because they really weren't sure where they stood with him. And that very much upset some people. But I just say, well, that's real life, and that's what I was aiming for. I don't want it tied up in a neat bow. For me, that just leaves more superficial things to cause conflict, and I want very realistic things to cause conflict that could happen to you, or could happen to me, or somebody you know, and they're things that a lot of us might go through. This is another long-winded answer, I'm sorry. Where are we now? I think that you should have to write a review to be able to rate. Well, you know what? That's a very good point. I don't ever rate a book, as in that's all I do. I'll do it with a product or something. That's like an app. Rate it. Yeah, it's fine. I'll give it 5 stars. If it screws up, I'll give it a bad. But when I do a bad one, I always say why. It's not for books. it's for like, you know, this app doesn't work, or say it doesn't do this, it doesn't do that, it doesn't do what you said it was, and I'll give it a bad rating. Leaving a 1 or 2 star rating for a book, it's like, yeah, authors can get their feelings hurt or whatever. There's a couple that have shown up recently for me, but for me it'll be like, give me 2 stars, tell me what you didn't like, because, you know, there might be something that I can take away from this and put into future writing. Or if you're a reader, you might go, oh yeah, I'll avoid that book. So it stops you wasting your time and going reading a book that you know you're not going to like. However, it might be the sort of thing that somebody else might like and go, well, actually, I like that kind of book, so I'll read it. So it's always really good. If you're going to leave a bad review, say why. I mean, you know, you've got a reason why you didn't like something. We have a reason why we don't, and it's good to express that. So, you know, but I understand people are really, really busy and they don't want to spend the time to write it. We're all really busy, but even a couple of lines is fine. It, you know, as in it helps readers. It's not just for the authors, and I'm talking about good and bad. I'm not just talking about only bad. You know, oh, I shouldn't get any bad reviews. You can't please everyone. But what I really don't like is DNF. It's like, you don't finish the book, that's fine. I don't finish books if I'm busy or I'm really not liking them. But when you publicly post it, it's like, well, that's not helping anyone. Because the first thing I'll say is, well, why did you DNF? I wanted to read her book, for instance, but you said DNF. Well, tell me why, and I'll know whether to not waste my time reading her book, for instance, you know. But yeah, they're there. We have to put up with them. Any kind. Sorry, Nathaniel, I don't know what any kind is. Maybe you'll clarify. The Lookout was my favourite. Really? So, The Lookout was your favourite book. You told me that the new book was your favourite book. I mean, I'm thrilled that it was your favourite book. But that's really funny that you've changed your mind in the last day. That's awesome. You love both of them. I love you. Roger is watching. Can somebody type? Can somebody type to Roger that I wish I could write this down for him, but I'm too blind to write while I'm on the camera. Because if I do it, it will take me 10 minutes and I won't be able to answer any questions. See, I can't even react to it. It's just fiddling. I'm too blind for that. I hold the iPad this close. This is how close I work. That far away when I need to see something and write it. It is literally a handspan of, oh jeez, like that. And if I don't, I can't see what I'm doing. So, oh yes, welcome Rob, Roger. I'll, I'll message Rogers later. And welcome Liz. Glad you can make it. I had this issue massively, but was 3/4 of the way through. As in, Nathaniel, you mean not being captioned? Do I set myself daily goals for writing despite the skinny dogs? No, they're more like longer goals. Like, oh gee, I'm going to get this finished by the end of the month. If I set daily goals, I would be constantly disappointed in myself and very occasionally thrilled with myself. But 95% I will be disappointed in myself. So I'll have a longer range goal and make sure that by that time I've done it. But a daily goal, no. some people really thrive on that. I'm going to write 5 hours today, and they do it. If I did that, I'm guaranteed to not write 5 hours a day. Too much stuff comes up, too much rubbish, all this stuff you've got to do, and you're like, oh God, I just wanted to write. So, low expectations. Are your dogs with you? Yeah, I did bring the dogs. It's a really funny thing. I came down with Andrew, my flatmate, and he went out to buy a dog carrier because Luke, my boyfriend, had broken the other one. And they're small dogs, but he came home with one that you would fit a cat into, and the cat wouldn't be happy. And he goes, oh, we could fit them in. And he tried to put one of them in, and he was like crammed in this little tiny capsule. You can't put the dog in that. Luckily, I had an old collapsible kennel stored up in the attic section of our roof. So blind me gets up there, fumbles around, and luckily finds it. So they did come out with me, but they're not staying at the bed and breakfast. They're staying out with Luke at his bush block, because this isn't a dog type place. The Hound. Oh, thank you, Deb. Yes, the Hound process. Yeah, that was probably that was the beginning of it all. So it was a long process, and it kind of germinated that way. The others were much more boring. It was like, yeah, I found something and I had the directions and I wrote it. I believe Ben brings out the best in others. Wow, that's really good. That's so cool. I think he does too. And I've never even thought of that. That's a brilliant observation, Deb. I haven't even thought of that. But he coaxes it out of it. He coaxes at the kind side out of Rick, just without even, just by being who he is. He coaxes out because Tony has a little awkwardness, as in he gets feels a little bit awkward and backward in coming forward. He's got that kind of shy element to him, and he feels a lot more confident after being around Ben that he can express it. And Damo is the meat-headed, redneck type friend, but will show this caring side around Ben. And so the three of them do have this way of relating to him. And I guess because of who he is, that brings it's brought out by that. You can't just... Thank you, JJ. You love my characters. You can't just pick one. I'm so sorry that the men do dirty things that offend you. But if I was to write you a BDSM book, you would rip it to shreds, because I don't know anything. Literally, I had a boyfriend in 1999 who came out of the bathroom in a ridiculous mask with a riding crop and said, I want you to spank me. And so I did. I hit him about the same amount as I would hit a horse, and he screamed at me and told me it fucking hurt. And I'm like, well, I don't know. It's a riding crop. I hit you like I would hit a horse. And that is my sole foray into BDSM in almost 49 bloody years. So I couldn't write it. Well, the men I write get really emotional and they slap their bottoms a bit. And there's the comical element of the Dom sub thing in Blinder. But I couldn't write a serious BDSM book. You guys would laugh at it. It just wouldn't be accurate. Psychoanalyst in Bourbon and Cigarettes was brilliant. Oh, Deb, I'm so glad, because she's in my next book. Her and her girlfriend are in a supporting role in the next book. And I deliberately wrote her in this story to see if people liked her. And, so they come into the latter part of this new novel that I've been writing. And they'll be fun. So, Rani is the butch lesbian. bourbon drinking, smoking psychoanalyst guitarist in a rock band, and her girlfriend is the young, tall, sassy blonde rock chick who has this hippie-ish side, and she's a bit psychic, well, she thinks she is, although the lead character in the book thinks she's got a talent for observing human behaviour, and so she picks up on things, and that gives her her psychic edge. But she's just got this uncanny ability, and she's a bit hippie-ish, but she's also a singer in a rock band. So she's one of those kind of hippie rock chicks. And she's the lead character's kind of best girlfriend, and the psychoanalyst is her girlfriend that comes later into the novel. And they'll have like key featured roles in it. So I'm glad that you like the psychoanalyst. And I found a great photo of her for the cover. It was a very, very difficult search. Well, Nadia found it. Liz, Passion Flicks. What's Passion Flicks? Is that some trendy thing I don't know about? Please explain. Do you mean what movies am I passionate about? I'm taking a stab in the dark here. Love it. Got to watch some. Oh. Welcome, Nathaniel. Wow, I thought you were in the woods, crapping into a bucket behind the tent somewhere in the mountains, whatever you do over there. Welcome to civilization. I'm glad you got an internet connection and you could come. Sam, the real Eastender. I love trying to emulate JJ and Sam's accents. Awesome. It's so fun. No, I'm not. Sam, you are. I'm kind of posh London. No, Sam, you're not posh, but you're fabulous. Emotionally intricate, no, I'd agree. Physically intricate too. Describe your writing. Oh, that's very, very nice of you, Deb. That's what I try and do. I really, really want to delve into the emotions and the physical connection as well. So, yeah, I don't have complicated plots because I really want to focus on the cerebral aspects of their relationships and how they physically and emotionally relate to each other. And I think if I had an elaborate plot, that would take away from that. It would be writing a different kind of book. So Nathaniel, you connected more with Hound than the Lookout, and that's always really good to hear because the Lookout had it was very dramatic, but Hound was a lot more in depth. And like I said, because I poured so much of myself into it, it's always amazing when people connect with that book. Thank you. Gotta run. Oh, well, I've probably missed you then, Nathaniel N.W. Wally Steele, but I'm so glad you came and joined. What first, the book or the book title? Yeah, no, the title came later. Like with Hounds, I came upon the nickname and it's like, yeah, that's the best title for the book. With the Lookout, they found that was their special place, so that ended up as the title. So I didn't have a title for it, no. Blinder had a different title, but I thought, no, I changed Blinder then, because it's a dual meaning. Like in Australia, a blinder is a great big party, and it is pretty much a big sex party, and Blinder because he is blinder now. He's not fully blind, but he's blinder than a normal person would be. So that kind of dual meaning, and that was a good title for that. And once again, Bourbon and Cigarettes is another nickname. So like Hound, it's the nickname he gives the psychoanalyst. And Bear Affair, that was a pretty straightforward title. All your books are my fave. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, Liz, I agree with that. I don't. The rating star thing these days, it's almost like a 3-star rating thing. 5 stars is if you loved the book, 4 stars if you liked it, and 3 stars if you didn't like it. And then 1 and 2 stars are for people that are kind of being nasty. So, unless the book is really, really sloppily written and they're treating the reader with contempt, books will have something to offer. And like, for instance, when I try and review something, I think, well, it's a book that's worth 5 stars. It's not 5 stars to me, but to the target market, it would be 5 stars, as in it's well written or whatever. And it may not be my type of thing, but I can completely appreciate that it's really good. Yeah, really, I think if there was a 1 or 2 star book, I just don't say anything, because I don't want that karma, and other people do. They're fine with it, but for me, no. I just I don't do that. I tend to review books that I've really liked, because I want to get the word out. I want to support the author, and I want to see the book flourish. So I'll review books that I've liked. Roger Collins says he wishes he could write captions while he's on here, but he's too blind that it would take too long. Thank you, Dave. Thank you for the explanation. If Roger, you're still around, and I will, I'll write to him later. We all have an assumption that deaf people lip read, but as Roger pointed out to me, people that are deaf since birth often don't lip read at all because they don't have any concept of speech, so if you've lost your hearing a bit later, you can lip read because you have that concept of the formation that mounds make and the sound that comes out of them. But to be completely deaf all your entire life, it's like going to someone that's been blind their whole life and trying to describe the colour green. It's like, well, there's no colour. Thank you for doing the message. Yes, thank you, JJ, as well. One act, I don't like you. No, what one? Only one act. Oh, sorry. Oh. Oh, okay. So Passion Flicks is like Netflix for smutty romance. I'm gonna have to go Google that because I don't know it. Maybe it's something you guys get over there in UK and US. I haven't heard it. No. Well, the books, yes. So the problem with the books at the moment is my publisher owns the first 2, and I need to try and work out how I can get author copies from Amazon, which I'm told I can do, but I need to, because I don't own those books. My publisher is in the US, and I don't know whether she has to order the author copies or whether I can do it because I am the author. It's a much simpler process for my new book because I've put it out with the help of 2 other Nadia's pretty much done a truckload of stuff for it. So that one is self-published, and I will have control over getting the author copies and being able to get the author books out to do signed copies and stuff. But for instance, even for my publisher to have sent me 4 of my books from the US to Australia, just the postage was over $80 US, she said. So it's a prohibitively expensive. It's ridiculous. Paying over $80 to send a free book to me that I could buy and have delivered for a lot less from Amazon. So the way that it's done with Amazon authors is they order author copies, so you're getting them at wholesale cost, and then you can sign them and post them off. One of your older kids ordered you Hound for your birthday. It's like, here you are, Mummy. I bought you a book about men having sex. That is so cute. Your older ones are like 13, aren't they? I don't know. I know you don't have like 21-year-olds, so I think my voice was pretty accurate there. Oh wow, I'm so I'm so pleased that you got my naughty book for your birthday from your child. That's so fantastic. Wow. God, see, I've just blabbed on now, and it's been more than an hour, and you're probably sick and tired of me. 26? 20... Wow. How did you cope? Because you're like 40. Yes, look, Deb, Nadia is marvellous. She's this is really funny. She's very opinionated like me, but she doesn't think she is. um, so we debate about stuff all the time. She's so knowledgeable about all the self-publishing stuff. The funny thing is she hasn't done a paperback before. So little old me last night spent many hours trying to sort out my new paperback, and I think I cracked it. I think I finally worked it out because I'm clueless. But I've even ordered the proof copy that they will send me, and I'll see if it looks fine in the physical form. But I'm like, wow, I did a paperback, because I just don't know that stuff. But Nadia just does covers for me. She does got my stuff through the formatting program and all these sort of things. For me, a few years ago, I could have sat down and easily learnt those programs, but I just don't have the sight to see all that tiny print anymore. Sam, you have 8 children. 8. 8. 8? Oh, do people do that anymore? 8 children? Oh my God. Yeah, yes. Oh, Nathaniel, NW Nathaniel. Yeah, so paperback. They're sending it to me by August the 1st, but it probably should come sooner. It normally comes quicker than that. And I'm literally going to spend 5 minutes looking through going, yeah, this is okay. And look, it looked fine. They send you a PDF online of it for you to proof, and it looked 100% fine. But they recommend that you get a proof copy of the actual printed physical thing to just see if it looks right when you get it. And so I've done that. Like, I've bought a proof copy, and I'm just going to go through it. And as soon as that happens, I log in, press the yellow button, and the paperback is live. Deb, how did I meet up with Nadia Mack? Literally on the Facebook groups. You know, she puts up her little posts of her Instagram man and all that, and I commented and all that, and she realised I lived down the road from her, like 20, 30-minute drive. It's not actually that far. It's just crappy Sydney traffic. And so we talked a lot, and then we've met up a few times. She's like so busy with her family and her job and all that sort of thing, and one of those parents whose children does 27,000 different extracurricular activities, and I don't know how she just juggles so much. But I'm very pleased that Nadia has got this new erotica thing happening, because she's been fiddling around with it for a long time, and she finally put it out, and it's doing really well for her. This whole series of her smut stories, and it's kind of a new little niche for her, because she felt like she'd been in a writing rut and hadn't put out her stuff for like over a year or something. But now she's kind of got this whole library of stuff just waiting to sort of be polished up and spat out. So yeah, it's really quite exciting for her, and I'm really pleased. So Deb, yes, Deb, you're going to be beta reading for her, I think. So with Nadia, you're going to have to tell her what you think, because she's that kind of person. 8 kids with the same man. Sam, wow. I thought you had 3 or something. And I'm like, oh, poor Sam, 3 kids and she's working. She must be so busy. 8. 8. Oh, I have 2 dogs and I don't cope. It gets easier after 3. Oh, yeah. We've been through all this before. Let's just have another one. Oh, I'm pregnant again. Oh, what, another one? Oh, you just add it to the brood. Never read Nadia Max books. Yeah, look, I think, JJ, you might like her new. I've read, I've beta read, like, I've alpha read, so I've done technical edits on her new stuff. Sort of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of her shorts that she's got coming out. I've read her. She has a couple of YA type novels, so new adults, so really are like starring 18-year-olds and all that, so it's quite chaste, but they're very charming little Australian sort of beachside things. She has a couple of more adult romances, or one. Yeah, she only published one, but like adult romance. She's got like another one up her sleeve somewhere, and then she's got all of her erotica shorts. So she did a one with the tentacles, and then she's got a series out about, you know, dominant daddies on camera with straight boys wearing lazy women's underwear and that's been doing really well. About to unfriend people calling us. You'll see my finger flick up here. Everything. That's because little windows keep popping up in front of the camera, telling me that, you know, I've got an email or whatever, so, you know, or another message. Lean on Me. So yes, Nathaniel, NW Nathaniel. I haven't read Lean on Me. And Nadia banned me from reading Lean on Me. She said, no, you won't like it. I don't want you reading it. It's a big mess. And she's really surprised that people are reading it again. But I think she has a sequel for that. Look, I could be lying, but I thought she might have another book drafted, and you know, she's written a draft for another book of that as well. She's got just all these things lying around. I don't. I tend to write it and polish it, and put it out. I don't have things. I don't really have things lying around going, oh yeah, well there's that book I wrote 2 years ago and I stuck it in a drawer and forgot about it. I don't have any of that. Literally, I'm just so tenacious that I make sure I finish what I've started, you know, 99% of the time, and that means that I don't, unlike other authors, have this whole lot of stuff that I'm sitting on that I could pull out and go, oh yeah, well, I'll just rustle that one up and here's my next one. Yeah, Nadia's books are very fun. Which book should she start first from Nadia? As I mentioned, Lean on Me was her romance. So Sunkissed and Half Truths were her youth romances, like sort of 17, 18-year-olds. And then she has her erotica, which are all short, so they're kind of like up to 10,000 words, 10 or 12, between 6 and 12 or something. So it depends what you're looking for. Like, she's kind of got her fingers in different pies. You have 3 you need to finish. So NW, you mean 3 of Nadia's books you need to finish? I don't. Or you've got 3 books you're reading at the moment that need to finish. You sound like me. I have your book, which is fabulous, and I have 2 ARCs that I can't put aside. I'm kind of trying to juggle all 3 of them, and I'm doing a very, very bad job of it. But I'm stealing little bits of time reading them in and then. Now that the paperback is almost done and the ebook is coming out tomorrow, I might have this little tiny window of time where I can start reading a little bit more, and hopefully nothing else comes along to get in the way, because I'm a slow, finicky reader, and I don't race through books. I wish I could, and I get little pockets of time to do it. It's kind of hard. Tenacious. Oh, thank you. Yes, tenacious. Taurian, pig-headed Taurian. You know, stubborn. Uh, yeah. I'm so typical. Like, you open an astrology book and you turn to Taurus, and it's like, yeah, that's me. Yes, congratulations on your wedding, Nathaniel. You look lovely in your lovely dress. And yeah, I'm looking forward. It's such a fun book. Like, I've got into it, and I'm like, this is really, really fun. And having, you know, read so much more serious stuff recently, it's like really great. It's kind of like I get to have dessert. Um, yeah, see, you've all read Nathaniel's book. It's really, really hard for me to fit this stuff in. I'm so far behind. You know, I read, there's so many books I want to read, and I just don't get through them. And I think, okay, well, I've got a TBR. I can go on to the next. The next one I'm just going to go, oh, I really, really want you to do this ARC, and it's coming out in 2 weeks or whatever. I'm like, oh God, okay, I'll try and fit that in. And then the queue gets all messed up again. It's nobody at all has said that your book is tripe NW, so that's in your head. I mean, you can write a candy flavored romance. People need that. You know, we can't read heavy stuff all the time, and I think that's great, and it's been received really well, and people have been so enthusiastic about it. And you know, I'm only like a couple of chapters in, but I'm like, oh wow, this is great. I really like the characters. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. There. Once I was writing, I read a lot. I read a truckload, as in I really wanted to know what other authors were doing, and whether, you know, because you're worried about whether you're on the wrong path, or, you know, you're really, really kind of like, oh, am I screwing this up badly, or what? You read a ton, and I did while I was writing, and while I was waiting for the publishers and all that sort of stuff. Once I published, there was no time to read. Like, literally, you have so much to do, because you're trying to keep books afloat, and they don't. That doesn't happen magically. You really have to make sure you maintain websites and social media sites, and, you know, answer as many questions as you can, and just try and think of new ways to keep the books visible. And there are a lot of wonderful people who do that, like people that will, you know, review or post about it, and it's just amazing. And I never want to be one of these writers that thinks that that's a reader's job to do, and that they, you know, should be pleased that I'm acknowledging their yeah. It's like, it's 1:30 in the morning and I'm not very articulate, but you know, when the authors, it's sort of like, yes, I'll let you be my fan. You know, no, mate, you're not Stephen King, you're not Jodi Picoult or whatever, so drop the attitude. It's people put their time into reading my stuff. They put their time into commenting. They put their time into reviewing, and that's amazing. And you really, really do have to express, like, the gratitude, because it's true. You acknowledge that people are being supportive, and they're going out of their way, and they're spending their valuable time on what you've written. So that's just amazing. But yeah, it chews up a lot of writing time, but it's part and parcel of it. Yes, so let's talk about you, N.W. Steele. You have the personality, you have the flair, you have the vivacity, and I can see it in your writing already. So, you know, you have something to offer that other authors don't. You have your own unique perspective, and you've written a book and people have liked it. So really, you've even managed to sort of bugger off and get married and traipse around Disneyland wearing Mickey Mouse ears and all that sort of thing and not have to worry about it, and it's still been fine. So you're back now. Get your butt into gear and get people talking about your book because it deserves it. And then when you get more time, you get back onto writing your next one and stop giving me bloody excuses. That's my final word on it, okay? Yes, so you all like Nathaniel's book as well. So that's great, and I'm looking forward to it. And a couple of other books that I'm going to read that are going to be harder work, but because they're kind of genres that I don't normally read, but that to me makes it more difficult, especially if you're ARC or beta reading, because you can't let your own personal tastes come into it. It's like, oh, I don't know anything about this kind of book or whatever, and enjoy it from a perspective of how well written it is and how engaging it's going to be to the target audience. Yeah, that's my question too, Nathaniel. Have you written your book too, or you're still thinking about it? Because everybody has been talking about a book too with you. So the Candy King's sequel to whatever, or is that's just it's a theoretical thing at the moment? Yeah. So what are we now? How long am I alive for? I mean, how much time? And when do you want me to bugger off, people? I mean, 30,000. 30,000 is good. Oh yes, candy rings. That's what I thought it said when I first saw the title. It was Candy Rings, and I'm like, oh, that's a saucy little title, Nathaniel. That's great. And then I commented on it, and a couple of other people gave me, I mean, I thought that's what it said too. Excuse me, I've just gotten over the flu. Well, I think I've probably bored you all enough, haven't I? I want to thank JJ and Sam and the authors of Facebook group Immigrants. I've found so many great authors. Oh, it's just like a treasure trove, isn't it? So many people I wouldn't have heard of if I hadn't been on there. It's been amazing. Yeah. We'll be on your ARC team. We will. We will. You can send it to me, but I'm a prick too. I'll send it back with markings all over it. I suppose I should go to bed, guys. It's 1:33 a.m. here, and I have to be up at 8 a.m. because that's breakfast time, and they're not going to hang around for us. And then we're going to get our butts out of the bed and breakfast. So I suppose I should go and sleep. It has been really, really wonderful chatting to you all, and I'm sorry I have to keep doing this. Because that's the only way I can see what you guys wrote. Thank you, JJ and Sam, and I think Danielle. I don't know if she was involved in this, but if she was, thank you. And JJ and Sam for making. Oh, you plastered it around every group. It's incredible. So it was really visible, and I hope that a lot of people did join your group. Not just because of me, but to get more members of your group, because it's such a fun group. And you guys put so much work into it. And not only do you put all the work into your group, you do stuff for our groups too, which is just amazing. You're like the PR queens. So it's awesome. You guys are awesome. You guys are fantastic. And thank you for inviting me to do this. And I really hope there are some interesting authors that get off their butts and do it as well, because, you know, there's so many things that we want to ask them. I'm not quite sure what that means, but yes, thank you. So you guys, I will sign off now, and I'm really, really happy that you all came. Thank you so much, and thank you for all these amazing, amazing questions, and letting me rabbit on and on and on in my middle of the night inarticulate way. Huge hugs, and I'll speak to you online soon.